So, Debo, I'm just double checking the draft order. I think that I'm looking at the Tankathon one. I think that the Patriots currently have the number 3 pick, and then the Cardinals are 4, unless I'm mislooking at something. So I'm going to go with that.
That is correct.
Okay. All right. So double check. All right. So I'll just read off the top 10 for people who are listening. And if you're watching, oh, yeah, you already had it up on Tankathon as I'm talking to you about it. Chicago has the first pick. That's Carolina's pick. We won't dwell on that if you're a Panthers fan. Number 2, the Giants are solely, squarely in the race for a quarterback. Wild times indeed. At 3rd are the New England Patriots in the same boat as the Giants. Number 4, Arizona. Number 5, Chicago with their original first-round pick. 6, Green Bay. 7, L.A. Rams. 8, Tennessee. 9, Atlanta. 10, Washington. So, Rick, let's talk about picks 1 and 5 because currently those are held by the Chicago Bears. And my most recent mock draft came out on Tuesday. At number 1, I'm taking Caleb Williams. Justin Fields hasn't been back on the field yet, so we don't know where he is. He wasn't the quarterback of the current regime, GM and head coach. And unlike Kyler Murray, who we saw get on the field finally in week 10, and he looked like Kyler Murray, we don't know about Justin. So I'm going to go at number 1. I'm taking Caleb Williams. And then at number 5, they get Montez Sweat in the trade. They sign him to a long-term deal. I'm getting Dallas Turner, Will Anderson's guy, and getting 2 bookend edge rushers to get after it. So what are you thinking if you're Chicago with 1 and 5? And is there any situation, I'll ask you again, where you're answering the phone if you're at 1?
No, it all depends on Justin Fields. Supposedly he may be playing this weekend. So, but if not, you can't pass on Caleb Williams, in my opinion. As the points you made, not Justin Fields was not their pick, the head coach or the GM. So Caleb Williams. And then I don't think there would be another receiver because I can't imagine Marvin Harrison Jr. If Marvin Harrison Jr. fell to 5, that's a no-brainer, but I don't see that happening. So, but you do have to get pass rush. And that's one thing where they struggled. Yannick Ngakoue is only a 1-year deal. So to get Montez Sweat locked up and to get another pass rusher off the edge, to have 2 really good pass rushers would definitely help this football team, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Are you taking Dallas Turner at 5 if you're Chicago, or are you taking Joe Alt and or Olaf Hashinu if they're available?
I think the pass rushers are harder to find. I would take the pass rusher.
And they have Braxton Jones, who they seem to like, who they drafted a few years ago. They drafted Darnell Wright, who they seem to like, is having a pretty good season. I think I gave him a C, and when I wrote up the story in CBS Sports for his first half grade, Darnell, and boy, Bears fans were not happy about that. So I'm going to retroactively give him an A+, just to keep them happy. Let me ask you this, because in the mock draft that was published, I mentioned the clip of you when we had you go through the list of quarterbacks who you would take ahead of Caleb, and you had to go all the way back to Andrew Luck. And
I bet you that got a lot of great responses.
Yeah, people are struggling with that one. The things that people love to be outraged about is something else. But I get it. People need to be angry about stuff. They can focus their energy at you, because in 62 days I'm going to get that energy from you. So it's all it all comes full circle. But tell me what you think of this theory. So let's say that Chicago has the first pick, and let's say they take Drake May, or they're considering Drake May. Is this crazy talk, or is there any consideration to the idea that, hey, 2017, we took Mitchell Trubisky out of UNC. We passed on Patrick Mahomes. There were some questions about Patrick Mahomes' ability to throw on time, and could he play in an NFL offense? Are we at all concerned about making that same mistake and having to answer PR-wise, fan-wise, to a bunch of angry folks if we take the wrong guy? Is that a conversation you have?
No, you don't care what, and no disrespect. You're doing what's best, and you're relying on your people and everybody that helps you make that decision, not what the fans think. So, and don't forget, the Patrick Mahomes wasn't, the Patrick Mahomes we see now. There were some inconsistencies in his play coming out of Texas Tech.
Right.
But the issue with Trubisky is he had 1 year as a 1-year wonder, because if your guy, Leonard Riley or Riley Leonard, whatever,
Leonard,
the kid from Duke comes out, he to me would be a Mitch Trubisky right now.
Yeah. And he's not going to be a top 5 pick.
No.
Okay. So let me tell you, let me run a couple other things by you. So I thought teams that think Drake May has a chance to be the first quarterback taken because there's some concerns about Caleb Williams' dad being. I've got LeVar Ball is what I've gotten before in terms of how interested he is in his son's career, and you can make of that what you will. I've had teams that tell me that they're not concerned at all about Caleb's dad. And I've had teams say that Drake May's 2022 tape is just as important as 2023 tape because he's in a new offense. He's working with new playmakers, yada, yada, yada. So it runs the gamut in terms of where people are on this quarterback race. I think you're where I'm at. I love Caleb and I wouldn't overthink it, but how much consideration goes into all the stuff around the player that could affect his draft stock?
That's everything you're doing in the pre-draft process. And those are the decisions that you have to make. You know what they are on the field. So, but it's everything else that's coming with him. One of the greatest, or I'd say greatest, the question asked these kids, we always ask, well, who's coming with you? So, well, my mom and dad are going to live with me and wherever I live in the city, or I'm bringing my girlfriend, or, I'm bringing my dudes with me from high school. So, you just have to go through that and then just understand what you're comfortable with and what you're not comfortable with. And maybe you do have a conversation with Caleb, and maybe you do reach out and talk with his dad. So you'll do everything you can to make sure you have the answers you need to have to make the right decision.
Or if you're Tommy DeVito, you're going to live in your parents' house, saving some rent money. It's pretty smart. Debo informs me that as we sit here, Chicago has a 38% chance to have the number 1 overall pick and a 93% chance to have the top 3 pick. The Giants, in terms of getting the number 1 overall pick, are at 23%. The Patriots at 18%, along with Arizona. And then the Rams are at 1.4%. So Giants are at 2. You're taking a quarterback, whoever the leftover quarterback is. Patriots at 3 are worst case scenario because they can't get a quarterback. Are you mortgaging any parts of the future to try to get into 1 or 2?
If you have that strong a feeling, because they need a quarterback, there's no question about that. But we had a disagreement yesterday on Spotlight that if they got stuck, you took the Fashanu, the tackle from Penn State, and I said, how can you pass on a generational receiver like Marvin Harrison Jr. at Ohio State?
You actually changed my mind in the middle of that segment. I agree with you after I give some thought because, as I mentioned, you drafted Justin Jefferson, game changer. Jamar Chase and Cincy, game changer. Steph Diggs, the other guy he drafted once he went to Buffalo, game changer. So you can find offensive tackles, maybe not at the level of Joe Alt or Fashanu, but you're not going to find Marvin Harrison Jr. anywhere else except at Marvin Harrison Jr.'s house.
Yep.
So, all right.